Most foreign ministers speak in circles. Jaishankar speaks in straight lines. That's why when he addresses an audience, whether it's in Delhi or Davos, people actually listen. His reputation precedes him. The minister who doesn't do diplomatic theater, who calls out hypocrisy, who articulates India's interest without apology. So when he chose Germany's National Day to outline how the global order is reshaping itself, everyone knew this was a moment that mattered. Let's break down what was actually revealed at Germany's National Day celebration in Delhi, because this wasn't just another diplomatic speech. This was a calculated message to the world. Here's the reality. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar just laid out a vision that challenges decades of Western-dominated global structures. And he did it while standing alongside one of Europe's most powerful nations. Think about that timing. The speech exposed something critical. India is no longer asking for a seat at the table. India is redesigning the table itself. When he emphasized the 25th anniversary of the strategic partnership with Germany, this wasn't nostalgia. This was a reminder that India has spent a quarter-century building alliances that bypass traditional power centers. German companies have operated in India for over a century. That's not just business history. That's proof of enduring trust in India's stability and potential. Trust that predates modern geopolitical alignments. And their enthusiasm for expansion today? That signals where smart money is moving. Toward India, while other economies stagnate and struggle. Jaishankar then strategically linked Germany to India's ongoing trade negotiations with the entire European Union. This wasn't a casual mention. This was India from a position of strength telling Europe, your largest economy sees our potential clearly, and you're either part of India's inevitable growth story or you're watching from the sidelines while India moves forward. The Green Partnership discussion revealed India's evolved position on the global stage. India isn't just consuming Western technology anymore. India is co-creating the sustainable development framework that will define the next industrial revolution. India is leading, not following. India is setting the terms, not accepting them. But here's what should make every Indian swell with pride. The people-to-people exchange numbers. Student populations doubling in 5 years. Indian skilled professionals creating a global workforce model that others study and emulate. This isn't brain drain. This is India establishing human capital dominance in the world's most advanced economies. Our professionals aren't leaving India behind. They're expanding India's civilizational footprint across continents, carrying Indian values, Indian innovation, and Indian excellence everywhere they go. Germany's unambiguous support after the Pahalgam terrorist attack proved India's diplomatic ascendancy. When a major Western power explicitly backs India's sovereign right to defend itself against terrorism, without diplomatic hedging or moral equivocation, that's recognition of India's power. That's acknowledgement of India's legitimate position on the global stage. Minister Johan's clear stance exposed the double standards that have plagued international responses to Indian concerns for decades. India demanded zero tolerance. Real zero tolerance, not selective condemnation based on geopolitical convenience, and Germany delivered. That's the respect India commands today. The defense collaboration surge tells us something Indian citizens need to understand. Europe now recognizes India as an indispensable security partner, not just another market for their exports. When defense ties pick up visibly, that's European powers acknowledging they need India's strategic weight. New possibilities don't mean small contracts. They mean technology transfers that strengthen India and strategic coordination that elevates India's regional dominance. The G4 format for UN Security Council reform showcased India's leadership on institutional change. India, alongside Germany, Japan, and Brazil, isn't politely requesting updates to an outdated 1945 institution. India is leading a coalition that represents the demographic, economic, and moral reality of the 21st century. The message India sends is powerful. Reform to include India or become irrelevant. India won't wait forever. Jaishankar's closing confidence that the strategic partnership will grow from strength to strength wasn't diplomatic politeness. It was a statement of India's inevitable rise. India's partnerships aren't transactional favors. They're transformational shifts in global power that benefit India's national interests. The emphasis on mutual respect and understanding might sound routine, but it represents India's revolutionary approach. India is establishing a foreign policy framework where India engages as an equal, actually, as a civilization with 5,000 years of continuity engaging with nations barely 200 years old. No more patron-client relationships where India begs. No more conditional assistance where India compromises. Just India, a civilizational superpower, pursuing its interest with partners who recognize India's rightful place. So this was Dr. Jaishankar's message from Berlin, the voice of a resurgent India, calm in its confidence, rooted in its civilization, and unstoppable in its ascent. But here's what makes this even more significant. While this strategic positioning unfolds, something remarkable is happening in the global economic architecture. The IMF's managing director addressed questions about the future of multilateral trade, and her responses exposed the tectonic shifts beneath our feet. Three major economies are weaponizing tariffs. 188 nations are refusing to follow. This isn't just policy divergence. This is the global order fracturing in real time. And which economy did she specifically praise? India. Not as an emerging market needing guidance, but as a growth engine that has earned its position through concrete reforms. Tax transformation, infrastructure revolution, digital connectivity that's become a model for the developing world. Here's the connection. India's diplomatic partnerships and economic performance are two sides of the same strategy. While protectionist powers retreat and multilateral systems fracture, India is simultaneously deepening bilateral partnerships and maintaining open trade principles. That's not contradiction. That's sophisticated statecraft. The IMF chief's message to India reveals the quiet desperation of global institutions. Continue what you're doing. Pursue more integration. Keep reforming. Because they know, and this is crucial, that if India pivots toward protectionism, the already fragile global economic system loses its most credible champion of rules-based trade. Think about the strategic leverage this creates. India can pursue regional integration in ASEAN, Central Asia, and the Gulf Cooperation Council while simultaneously negotiating with the EU and maintaining strategic autonomy. No dependency, maximum optionality. The prescription was revealing. Reduce trade barriers, invest in education and skills, reform sectors for private initiative, eliminate self-inflicted injuries through smart regulation. But here's what wasn't said. These aren't conditions for assistance. They're suggestions for India to unlock even more potential that already has global institutions nervous about being left behind. And that Solar Alliance reference at the end? That exposed the real game. While established powers argue over carbon credits and climate finance, India is building the technological and diplomatic framework for the next energy economy. Not asking permission, just leading. So here's where we are. India is deepening strategic partnerships with major powers, maintaining principled economic openness while others retreat, investing in capabilities that position it for future industries, and doing all of this while systematically reforming structures that once held it back. The uncertain world order isn't India's crisis, it's India's opportunity. While legacy institutions wonder whether they can maintain relevance, India is demonstrating what 21st century leadership actually looks like, rooted in civilizational confidence, executed through strategic pragmatism, and aimed at a future where power isn't concentrated in old capitals. The world isn't just watching India rise. The world is realizing it needs India to rise. So ask yourself, in a fragmenting global order, who holds the real power? Those clinging to structures built for a vanished world? Or those calmly building the architecture for what comes next? The answer is revealing itself before our eyes. And India isn't waiting for permission to shape it.